Good afternoon. Okay, so usually when I do the dream messages, I'll do them before I start my readings, but I'm going to do this one separate because I'm not sure who the message is for. And typically when they give me names inside of my dreams, it means that the message is for somebody outside of me. But doesn't mean that people can't take what they need from it. Now, typically when I dream about people I know in real life, and then I also dream with celebrities that are still in the living realm. So this is the first time that a celebrity from the spirit realm has come to me in my dreams. So this is a bit different. Jesus. So I'm going to start with the dream. In the dream, it was like I was in an office building, or it was it felt like a mall or somewhere where there was a lot of people, but there was no people in there. You know, it's like I could feel people around, but I couldn't see anyone. So I walk past and I look to my left and I see DMX sitting in a chair. Now the chair is, the older chairs with the velvet back, the wooden older ones. And he's sitting there. He has a white shirt on with some type of design or something on it and blue jeans, and he looked like his younger self. So as he's sitting there, he's kind of leaned over a little bit to the right side. I seen him and I was like, oh, that's DMX. I go in, go about my business, whatever. I leave and I come, I pass him a couple times and it's like he's just sitting there waiting, and there's nobody around him. So I'm like, I'm still trying to understand what that is. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ask him to take a selfie. I'm going to see if I could take a picture with him. I was like, why not? But I left my phone in my office. So he is literally 20 feet away from me. And in my mind, as I'm walking up to him, I'm just going to be like, hey, going to ask you a question. And I was just going to say, can I take a picture with you? But as I got closer to him, by the time I reached him, I was like, I have 3 questions for you. The first question was, can I give you a hug? He looked at me and he smiled and he said yes. So he didn't stand up. I knelt down in front of him and I hugged him. And the hug was the hugs you give somebody when it's like you're really sad or you're really going through a lot or you just have a lot of heaviness. And it was a very tight hug, but that hug, it was like whatever weight I was carrying was taken off of me, like he took it on himself, so whatever that was, it was taken from me and put onto him. So, when that happened, it was like I felt relieved. The next question I had for him, which was odd for me as a person, but I asked him if I could pray with him. And he said yes. And then I said, okay, my last question, I was like, can I have a picture with you? And smiled and he said yes. So, but before I even got to do the next 2 things, I started talking to him about my mother and telling him, I was like, oh my God, I loved your music. I loved you since I was a kid. Just regular conversation. I was cracking jokes. And it didn't, we didn't get the chance to pray, but he had down his right arm, it was like crystals wrapped in gold. And it was like, it felt like they were his prayer beads or something. So he had that on his right hand, like his hand in his pocket. So that happened. And then he got up and went into an office space. And then at that point, it was like there was a manager here or someone who worked with him. And then there was another man on the other side of him that worked with him. And I'm not sure who they were, but I know they were his people. He had gotten up and went into the office to look for a woman named Lorraine. It was like she had went on break or she had went somewhere, but she wasn't back. So, I started talking to the guy here and it looked like he was taking photos of somebody and I had poked him because he looked familiar, but I didn't know him. And I was like, did you just graduate barber school? And he's just like, no, and he told me I was being rude because he was in another conversation. I'm not sure where all these people came from because like I said, when I first started, there was nobody there. Then another woman, light-skinned woman wearing glasses, older, approached, she had her family with her, and it's like she realized that it was DMX, and she wanted, like, you know, take pictures or whatever, but he wasn't paying her any mind because he was dealing with me. He ended up having to leave the building. When he left the building, he had found Lorraine, and he came back in to the building with her, you know, and all I see is a elderly woman, you know, and it was like after that I had woken up from the dream. So it was, for me, it was very different because first off, it's DMX in spirit, and I'm just like, okay, this is fucking weird. But because I'm not a religious person, I'm just not a religious person. You know, I have my spirituality, I have my belief in a higher power, be it divine, God, whatever you want to call it. But the fact that I dropped to my knees before him and I asked him to pray with me, it's for me, I took it as he's still doing the Lord's work in the spiritual realm. And I don't know if somebody needed to hear this, or someone needed to gain some type of peace from this, but that's like the message that I got from it, because whatever it was, it's like he took something from me that alleviated my heaviness, but in the same breath, it's like I knelt down in front of him and asked him to pray with me, and that is something I've never done in my whole existence. So for whoever this message is, whatever it was that you needed to get from this, I really strongly feel like he's still doing God's work on the other side, you know, because there's really no other reason for him to come to me. So, you know, I send my condolences to his family. I know this is a terrible and a difficult thing. And, you know, I love you guys. And like I said, whatever messages I get, I always deliver them because I'm not sure who needs to hear what or what's taken from any of this. But I'm going to do my readings now. I just needed to do this separate because it's too much. I love you guys, and I hope you have an awesome day.